am back to do the recap and review of not just one episode of The Mandalorian, but two. I'm trying to stick to my guns and not do recap and reviews unless the previous video got 6 views. And my recap review of The Siege just hit 6 views yesterday, and I'm like, oh. So I'm here today to do recap / reviews of the last 2 episodes, which are Chapter 13 and Chapter 14. Chapter 13, The Jedi, and Chapter 14, The Tragedy. These were 2 really amazing episodes. I love them. It's safe to say pretty much all my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian up to this point, except for The Redemption. The Redemption was a really awesome episode. But the vast majority of my favorite episodes are coming from Season 2. And I think that just proves how much better The Mandalorian has gotten. I mean, The Mandalorian was awesome in Season 1. I'm not trying to take that away. It was an amazing Season 1. It was a great start. Season 2 is just so much better. And I think that's because with all shows, the first season is really like stretching your wings, trying to build the world, trying to see if this can work, what works, what doesn't work. That's really what the first season of any show is about. And then the second season is when they can stretch their wings further, try new things, and push the envelope. And I think that's what they're doing this season, and it's really paying off for them. Case in point, The Heiress. That was an amazing episode, and they really were pushing, and it worked. So they are doing things, and they are working, and it's proving that Star Wars can be not just big screen worthy, but small screen worthy. So, which they already proved with Clone Wars and Rebels and even Resistance, but this is live action, so amazing. So I was super excited. So let's start off with talking about Chapter 13, The Jedi. Hopefully everyone has seen it because, as always, my recap reviews do have spoilers. So let's get this started. So the Jedi. This is where I said Ahsoka was going to come in because it was Dave Filoni directed, Dave Filoni written. Everybody was excited for this episode. The Jedi did not disappoint. It was amazing. And we saw Ahsoka right from the get-go, right from that opening sequence. As soon as I saw her white lightsabers, I was ready to burst into tears. I was so happy. We finally got the live-action Ahsoka. In fact, I'm wearing one of my Ahsoka sweatshirts. I actually had ordered a second one. So I was so excited. Now, I would like to talk about the controversy people have had. So some people, thankfully they're minority, they have issues with Ahsoka in The Mandalorian. One of the issues being is, the biggest one apparently, is the fact that her character design. They're saying it doesn't look good, it looks really fake, it looks like really bad cosplay. I honestly did not see any issues. When the episode aired, as soon as I saw her character design, I said, oh, her Leku are shorter, and that was it. I didn't think about how short her Leku were. I didn't stop to think that, I didn't see it as cosplay, in my opinion. You know, like I said, I made one comment about her Leku being shorter, and that was it. Like, it didn't take anything away. Yes, her Leku were shorter than they were in the animation series. But I always thought, because I'm a fan fiction writer, and because I watch like Marvel and Star Wars and other shows, and I've always been kind of like interested in stunts and how they can do that with the costumes, and I like figure skating, stuff like that. I know that sometimes you have to make adjustments, and I actually addressed this issue on one of the Facebook groups I belong to. Where I basically point out this guy was saying that changes takes him out of the lore. He loves the lore. And I said, yeah, you can love the lore. But the thing is things can't stay the same. They're going to have to make changes. Ahsoka's Leku length was one of them. In the animated series, yes, they can do the longer Leku length. They can make it more realistic to what a Togruta is. But they can't do that in live action because the Leku, the characters that the designer actually talked about this, Leku are incredibly, when they do the really long Leku, and they tried this, it is incredibly hard to do stunts, to do any sort of combat or action work with the full-length Leku because they are very long and they are very heavy. These are not light headdresses. You can talk to any cosplayer who has done Leku. They are incredibly heavy and they are impossible to do any sort of combat sequences. That's why we never see in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, we never see Ayla or Shakti actually really fight because of the Leku. So they are incredibly heavy and they are very hard to do any sort of combat sequence in. So that is why they actually went and shortened the Leku for Ahsoka for the Mandalorian, because she needed to be able to move. Rosario needed to be able to move. She needed to be able to do these combat sequences. So they need to shorten it. And I pointed this out and I said, there are going to be changes, that shouldn't take away from the lore. And I point out, enjoy the lore. But if you're so busy nitpicking over small details about the lore, you're going to miss the bigger picture. And also, these changes can make you look at the lore in a new perspective, in a different way. So don't nitpick the small stuff, like all these people complaining about the size of her Leku. Why are you complaining about the size of her Leku? Why are you complaining about the design? We finally got a live action Ahsoka, and we didn't just get a live action Ahsoka, we got her amazing. Rosario Dawson, I have to say she did an amazing job, and part of that is Rosario Dawson is basically a huge Ahsoka fan. The story about how she got this part is apparently a fan tweeted that Rosario Dawson should be the live action Ahsoka. And Rosario liked that tweet and she retweeted it and she basically got the part. She was cast, I'm guessing in season 1, because there's this really famous photo of George Lucas holding the child puppet, and apparently Rosario was there in full Ahsoka outfit off to the side, and people didn't realize it. So she has been cast forever as Ahsoka. And also Dave Filoni, and she did amazing. She did her research watching this episode. Rosario Dawson was like, she had all of Ahsoka's little nuances, all her little character quirks, her little traits, her little movements, even her voice. It was so eerie hearing her speak for the first time, because I heard it and I went, oh my god, she sounds exactly like an older version of Ashley Eckstein, who is the original Ahsoka, who voiced Ahsoka in Clone Wars, in Rebels, in Forces of Destiny. She is that voice, and Rosario did such an amazing job of aging Ahsoka's voice to make it sound like an older Ashley, like an older Ahsoka. That gave me goosebumps, because I'm like, oh my god, she even sounds exactly what I thought an older Ahsoka would look like. And back to the costume, Dave Filoni actually has said that they were debating about not having Rosario wear the blue contacts, that because Ahsoka has blue eyes. He told her you didn't have to wear the contacts, and Rosario's like, no, I'm wearing the contacts. So Rosario really wanted to bring Ahsoka to life. She really wanted to do it right, and I think she did. Even Dave Filoni said he was blown away by what they were able to do. He loved the character design. He didn't have any fault with it, so people stopped nitpicking Rosario. She did what she was supposed to do. Do I wish Ashley had been given the chance? Yes, because I have seen Ashley dressed up as Ahsoka. She looks amazing. But at the same time, I understand it. Rosario is old enough, I feel, to pull off the older Ahsoka, where Ashley is not quite there yet. And Ashley's I think only a few years older than me. So I'm glad we get two really great actresses who have done really good jobs bringing Ahsoka to life. I loved it. It was amazing. Her combat skills were perfect. Her interactions with Din were lovely. And we finally got to see Beskar against lightsabers. I have the Path of the Jedi, the Bounty Hunter Code, and I think in both of those they mentioned that Beskar can stand up to lightsabers. Is one of the few things that can. This is something I had never seen before, because we haven't really seen real Beskar, I feel like. And so finally getting the chance to see what a Beskar can do against a lightsaber, that was amazing. He's standing there with his arms crossed like this, and he has no fear. I mean, I knew Beskar was strong. We've seen him get shot at wearing the armor and just gotten back up and kept walking, and just gotten blown off his feet and still been able to in the air, still be able to fulfill the plan. So seeing the Beskar against the lightsaber, that was so incredibly amazing to see just how strong Beskar armor is, and now it makes sense why it's worth so much to the rest of the galaxy, because it is pretty much almost impenetrable. It's almost non-destructive. So that was really cool seeing that. And it's also really fun just seeing Ahsoka with another Mandalorian. In the Clone Wars, she kind of developed that relationship at the end of Season 7 during the Siege of Mandalore with Bo. Bo-Katan and Ahsoka really respected each other and even liked each other. And I think it speaks volumes that Bo-Katan and Ahsoka were in contact to the point that Bo went, oh, go see Ahsoka Tano, she's here. So I think, like I said, I think it really speaks to that relationship, and I think that makes Ahsoka unique, and only like Obi-Wan in that she kind of has this unique relationship with Mandalore and Mandalorians. The only other, like I said, the only other Jedi who kind of had that relationship was Obi-Wan. That was because he was in love with Duchess Satine, and Duchess Satine is a different type of Mandalorian from her sister. So yeah, it was really fun, and we learned the child's name. Ahsoka is able to tell us the child's name. The child's name is Grogu. I think it's cute, and I will probably say it like 50 different ways. But it's cute. I love his name is Grogu. And we also learned that he was at the Jedi Temple when Order 66 happened. And that he was hidden away, and that's how he survived. And he's been in a really dark place. So that has me asking some questions about the species, which was also Yoda and Yaddle. Exactly how fast do they age? Because we are told in season 1 he is 50 years old, but he still has the mentality, and he's still toddler age. He's still very young. But he's 50 standard years old, but he's like a toddler. So that's making me wonder just how slow this species actually age. With Yoda, we know that when he passes away in Return of the Jedi, he is 900 plus years old, which means he's almost 900 when we see him in the prequels. And according to rumor, and I'm saying it as a rumor, but I think it's been proven at this point, he is actually appearing in Star Wars: The High Republic. They have a character design of him. So that's making me, and that's set like 100 or so years before the prequels. So I'm trying to figure out, how does this species age? Grogu was already at the temple training when Order 66 happened. He was being taught by some of the best masters. So how do they age? Because he still has the mentality of a child. Does this mean he was already training as an infant, or do they age like 10 years for every 1 year for every 10 or something? So I would love to learn more about this particular species, which we don't have a name. They have never named what species Yoda, Yaddle, or Grogu belong to. And on top of that, people again point out, Ahsoka says the only other Jedi she's ever seen like Grogu was Master Yoda. Everybody's like, well, what about Yaddle? I also went online and pointed out that by the time Ahsoka was a Padawan, by the time the Clone Wars happened, Yaddle was no longer a member of the Council. In fact, she had passed. And I also point out that as a child, that the council as a whole really didn't interact with the younglings, the children at the temple, even up until they were Padawans. The council really only interacted with like knights and other masters. So there really would have been a chance for Ahsoka as a child, to pre-Padawan, to really interact with the Jedi Council on a regular basis. And really the only council member she probably would have known was Plo Koon, who found her, and then Master Yoda, because in Rebels she talks about how Master Yoda taught all the younglings at the temple, and we saw that in Attack of the Clones, and we saw that again during the Clone Wars. So really, she would have only recognized Plo Koon and Yoda. She probably knew about the Council, but she really would have only interacted with those two until becoming Anakin's Padawan, where she then meets Obi-Wan, and she spends more time in the Council chambers, but again, limited contact. So her saying her thing about Yoda, the only other one, I totally understand and agree with, because again, fan fiction writer, this is stuff I had to study for my series. She really wouldn't have been interacting with the council that much. It was a really good episode. I love her. So I love the fact that Mando was the one who had to get Grogu to use the Force, and when he does it, he's like, see, I told you, like the proud papa. It was so sweet. And I also love the reference afterwards she makes to Anakin about how she can't train Grogu because of how attached he is to Din, and she has seen what that can do to the best of the Jedi, the best knights, the best masters, and that is a reference to Anakin. And again, that's calling back to Clone Wars, that's calling back to Rebels. It was so nice to see all these callbacks to Rebels in Clone Wars with Ahsoka. But she says she knows something else they can do, but she needs Mando's help to take out this woman named Morgan Elspeth, who is this magistrate of a town, and kind of find out she's been strip mining planets, and she's still doing it. And Ahsoka needs something from her, and they need to free this town. So it leads to this big epic battle, and we get to see Ahsoka fight against Morgan Elspeth, who, cool fact, the actress who plays Morgan, Diana Lee Inosanto, is actually the goddaughter of Bruce Lee. So that was so cool to learn. But we see Ahsoka fight, and it's so cool because Morgan has this spear that's made out of solid Beskar, so she uses that against Ahsoka. It was a really awesome fight. Another thing people are picky about, they're like, she didn't use the reverse grip. She did. And here's the thing again about that. If you watch Clone Wars and Rebels, and if you watch in particular Ahsoka's combat, especially in her fight against Maul during the Siege of Mandalore, Ahsoka did not exclusively use her reverse grip. I think it's called the Jai Kai or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. She did not exclusively use that. She actually switched back and forth between that and a regular grip, which does make sense after years of having been trained by both Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, because neither of them used the reverse grip. And Anakin, as Dave pointed out, trained Ahsoka to fight bigger opponents. So she would automatically know when to switch her grip, and that is what she does in the fight against Morgan. We see her use both styles of grip. In fact, one time she twirls her lightsaber, and I saw that, and I went, she got that from Obi-Wan, because every time Obi-Wan fights, he spins his lightsaber, which I've been trying to teach myself how to do, and I have failed miserably. So she is able to switch, and it was a really great fight. It was awesome. And then, big bombshell dropped. Morgan, she's like, where's your master? And I'm like, oh my god, Moff Gideon. Like, throughout this entire episode, I'm like, Moff Gideon, she's hunting Moff Gideon. No, Ahsoka's not hunting Moff Gideon. She asked Morgan where her master is. Morgan's master is Grand Admiral Thrawn. I went, yes! I was so excited because this kind of leads into Rebels, and now Dave has apparently come forward and said, you know what? That epilogue at the end of Rebels where Sabine teams up with Ahsoka, that actually comes after this episode. So we are seeing Ahsoka pre-end of Rebels, where if you don't know, spoiler alert, Ezra uses the Force to help some Purgle help him. They seize Thrawn's fleet and they vanish. And the end of Rebels is Sabine monologuing what happens after the Battle of Lothal, which is freed. And she talks about at the end how Ezra asked her to find him, so she is going to find him, and she's teaming up with Ahsoka to do it. So that was so cool hearing Grand Admiral Thrawn's name dropped. It makes me hope that maybe we'll get to see him in The Mandalorian, which would be awesome. Out of all the Star Wars villains, Thrawn is my absolute favorite. I love Thrawn to death. I think he is the coolest villain ever. So much to the point that my the current character I'm playing in Star Wars The Old Republic is actually a Chiss Jedi Knight, because I love Thrawn so much. And speaking of Star Wars The Old Republic, another big name drop at the end of the episode where Ahsoka again reminds Din that she can't take the child with her to train. She says, take him to Tython. Oh my gosh, big reveal there. Tython is considered in Legends where the homeworld of the Jedi. It is the planet you start out on if you are playing the Jedi, either Jedi Knight or Jedi Consular on Star Wars Old Republic. You go there a lot in that game as a Jedi character. So for me, hearing that as a SOTAR player, that got me so excited about Tython, because I'm like, oh my gosh, they really are bringing all this stuff that is Legends back into canon, which makes me hopeful that at some point they will just return the entirety of the Old Republic to canon, because Dave Filoni has come out in the past saying Bane is considered canon because Bane appeared in Clone Wars. He considers Revan a part of canon because Revan was going to be in Clone Wars and they had to cut him. So it makes me feel hopeful with them mentioning Tython, with them mentioning the Mandalorian Jedi Wars, that they are going to bring the Old Republic into canon again. And that would be amazing. So she tells him to go to Tython, and she gives him the Beskar spear. And that is where we leave Ahsoka. We don't know what's going to happen next with Ahsoka. Rosario Dawson, as I said, did an amazing job. The Jedi is currently my favorite Mandalorian episode. Not just because of Ahsoka. I just thought it was so amazingly well done. And you can tell it was definitely a Dave Filoni directed episode because it was definitely a tribute to Kurosawa, who was a big inspiration behind Star Wars movies for George Lucas. And even Dave, when they did Clone Wars, there's actually one episode of Clone Wars that is literally just a chorus mini movie. So it was really, really fun to watch this. Definitely, hands down, like I said, The Jedi is my favorite episode of The Mandalorian so far. It was just really good, and I couldn't expect anything less from Dave Filoni. It blew all my expectations out of the water, which pretty much every episode, save the passenger, has done this season. So it was really good. And so now we're on to chapter 14, titled The Tragedy. And it's really funny because what happened with me is one of the first things I do when I wake up every morning is, because I'm such a millennial, I turn on my phone and I always go and check Instagram first, which I know I shouldn't since I don't want to spoil The Mandalorian for me. But I checked and somebody had posted, one of the people I followed had posted, oh, this episode was a tragedy. And I'm like, oh my God, this episode's going to be so bad. And that was one of the things I was worried about coming off of such the masterpiece that was The Jedi and coming into the following episode. I'm like, oh my God, this episode was so bad. It didn't hit me that that was a reference to the title until I sat down to watch it and it said chapter 14, The Tragedy, and went, no, why? I will say it was good. Again, this is another really great episode. Definitely one of my favorites. It is now like my top, but this is like my top episodes are now currently The Jedi, The Redemption, The Heiress, The Siege, and The Tragedy. Those are my top 5 episodes currently for The Mandalorian. It was really nice. I did think we were not going to get to Tython as quick as we did, but we did. It definitely threw me for a loop seeing Tython. If you play Star Wars The Old Republic, if you don't, Tython is this really pretty, heavily forested planet with a lot of ruins and some newer buildings that the Jedi had built. There's a small settlement of Twi'leks on the planet. So it's this really kind of pretty ancient planet, and it was kind of jarring to see it. But I guess enough time has passed because there's like really no ruins. There's just a lot of forest and like this one place where the Seeing Stone was. So it was kind of like a little jarring for me having played SOTAR. But it was still kind of nice seeing Tython. And again, didn't take it away that Tython is back in canon, and that makes me really, really excited. Just like the fact technically Korriban is part of canon because I got the 2 Myths books for Star Wars, one of which is all like in one of the stories they mentioned that the planet Moraband was actually called Korriban. So, oh my gosh, my nose is running now. So that is really cool because that means we have the 2 starter planets from SOTAR back in canon. So Mando and the child get to Tython, and Mando's playing with the child. Like, Grogu, you want the ball? Every time he says Grogu's name, like he'll say Grogu. Grogu. That's like such a dad thing to do, right? Thinking like it's a little puppy. And then he's like, you want the ball? You want it? You want it? You gotta do what you did last time. And he does it, and he's like, damn, I'm not mad at you. You can definitely tell. I could tell that Mando is not like totally thrilled at the idea, and I saw this in The Jedi, and I saw it again at the start of the tragedy. He's not totally thrilled with having to give up Grogu. I don't think he wants Grogu to leave. I think he's really enjoying having a little one around. And Grogu probably doesn't want to leave either. Like Ahsoka said, he's really, really, really attached to Din. But they get to Tython, Din puts him on the Seeing Stone, and they're waiting, and then we see Slave 1. Oh my gosh, I flipped the heck out. I knew Boba. We saw Boba earlier, and I was like, oh god, it was just a throwaway shot. No, Slave 1 is back. I got so excited. As soon as I saw Slave 1, I went, yes! Din goes to go grab, I use Din and Mando interchangeably. He goes to grab Grogu, but Grogu is now sitting on the center of the stone with a blue force field around him. And in my head, as soon as I see him reach for the force field, I go, no. When a force user is doing something, and there's like anything that's shimmery, wavy, bluish, red, don't touch it! Seriously, don't touch that thing! And I was right, he kept getting blown backwards. Din goes to see who the new visitors are. Boba wants his armor back. And Din says, no, you're not a real Mandalorian. Remember, he's still kind of in that cult mindset, the child of the watch, where if you're a Mando and you take off your armor, you're not a real Mandalorian, which is just a different branch, like I said, of Mandalorians. It was kind of vindicating to me, again, this episode, to see one of my fan theories. I already had this theory that the children of the group Mando belonged to was kind of a different sect of Mandalorians. which I proved was right about. I had another fan theory I did at the end of season 1, which I didn't really talk about, which was at that episode, I think it's called The Gunslinger, where we see Fennec for the first time. At the end of she is shot, she is killed, and the reason I did that in quotation marks is I never actually believed Fennec was dead. The reason for that is at the end of that episode, they show a shot of Fennec's body, and then we see this mysterious figure walk up to the body. That is why I did not really believe Fennec was dead, because they never do anything without a purpose in Star Wars. Even the so-called filler episodes, there's always a reason behind them. So I knew there had to be a reason as to why they would show that shot of Fennec's body. And I don't think it was to establish that, oh yeah, she's dead. I think it was to establish, something might be happening. So I honestly never thought really Fennec was dead. I thought she was alive. Did I honestly think we would see her again? No, I didn't think we would see her. I just didn't think she was dead. And I thought the figure was like Moff Gideon or an Imperial or somebody. My mom. It wasn't until the first season Marshall where we see Boba and it was confirmed that was Boba that I added in the second part of the theory that I think Boba was that figure that walked up to Fennec. But hey, I was proven right, even though, and now people are like, you didn't say anything, you're being theory. I don't like saying my fan theory, talking about my fan theories about other people, because I think my fan theories are kind of stupid. Like, Fennec's alive, and I was like, oh, people are going to chew me out for that. But it was nice to see that, yes, Fennec is alive. I was right, not only that, when I added in the second part about Boba, I was right about that. So Boba saves Fennec, he replaces her with cybernetic parts, where she was shot, and again, this is something that has been mentioned in Star Wars, Brehav Alderaan, Leia's adopted mother. She had, like, polymods, I can't remember how you say them, where in her chest, because she suffered a traumatic injury, and they had to remove some of her organs, and that's what those are. So it was really fun to see Fennec and Boba, like, yay, Boba! And it was, like, amazing. And then the stormtroopers come, and they have to fight to protect Grogu because, Boba makes a deal. He and Fennec will help Din protect the child and keep the child safe from Moff Gideon. In exchange, he wants his armor back. And this is where I learned that Boba's armor is actually Jango's. I didn't realize that armor was actually Jango Fett's because it's a totally different color, but now thinking about it, it does make sense because Sabine mentions that the armor she wears is armor from her family that she has remade to her specifications and repainted. So now I kind of see it. For the first time, I'm like, really? That was Jango's armor? It's totally different. But it was so exciting. We get to see Boba Fett really fight. I know we kind of saw him fight in Return of the Jedi, but this was like real fighting. It was awesome. It was amazing. I love the guy. Tomorrow, I cannot say his name. It's the guy who played Jango, so it was really cool to see him. Boba is amazing. Like, he totally destroyed those troopers. That fight sequence did make me more comfortable in my decision that when I have kids, I will probably not let them, I will introduce them to Star Wars at 9 years old. That's how old I was when I saw Star Wars for the first time, was 9. Will I let them watch The Mandalorian? I will probably, like I said last week, a couple times, I'm not going to let them watch The Mandalorian until they're like 10, 11, 12. This episode definitely hammered in the feeling that, yeah, probably not going to let them watch The Mandalorian until they're like teens. Boba was vicious, but it was awesome. It was an amazing fight. Ming-Ni Hua, again, did amazing as Fennec. She is one of my favorite actresses. She did really cool and definitely had like an Indiana Jones moment. She kicks a boulder down the hill to take out some stormtroopers. That was totally amazing in my head when she was doing that. I heard the theme music from Indiana Jones. It was so funny. So it was really good. But then Moff Gideon has an ace up his sleeve. At the end of the siege, we saw these troopers that were all black, and they're called Dark Troopers. These are characters that were in one of the video games. The Blind Wave guys got really, 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 really excited about them when they saw them. I had no clue, because the only Star Wars game I have played is Star Wars The Old Republic, and they don't have Dark Troopers. So Moff Gideon sends these Dark Troopers after them, and sadly, they are able to, they take Grogu. That made me so sad, and on top of that, they destroyed the Razor Crest. So Moff Gideon has Grogu, and because of how they took him, they couldn't shoot the Dark Troopers down, because if they did, they would hurt Grogu. They destroyed the Razor Crest, and to make it even worse, I'm doing the Lego Star Wars Advent Calendar, and yesterday was a mini Razor Crest, so the Razor Crest is gone. So, Grogu's in the hands of Moff Gideon, who is going to use him for donor blood, and Razor Crest is gone. Where does that leave us? Well, Boba and Fennec said they made a deal. Boba got his armor back. It was so awesome seeing him use the rocket and take out the ship, and then hear him say, "Oh, I was aiming for the other one." And then also validating his right to the armor by showing Din his chain code. I gotta hurry up because I'm almost out of space. But Boba and Fennec say, "We're gonna stick with you. We're gonna help you save the child." They go back to Navarro and they see Cara, and Din asks Cara to help him break Mayfield out of Republic prison. She's now a marshal in the New Republic, but she's like, "I can't do that." And he's like, "They've got the kid." And Cara's like, and that's where we leave off. So I'm so excited for next week's episode. I feel like we are going to see Ahsoka again. There's a chance. I feel like we're going to see Bo and her Night Owlers again. Definitely Boba. Definitely Fennec, Cara, Din, everybody. We are going to have an epic rescue of the child. So it is going to be good. So I got to wrap this up because I'm almost out of space on my phone. So you guys, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of Chapter 13, The Jedi, and Chapter 14, The Tragedy. These were really good episodes. Definitely my top favorite, and I can't wait to see what happens next.